I was just thinking of things to talk about for this video, and you know what? One thing popped into my head. I was thinking about WrestleMania next year, and I thought, what does the Royal Rumble winner of January really get this time? Because the main event, from all accounts, is going to be The Rock versus John Cena. It's also implied that we're going to see Undertaker and Triple H again, and Mark Henry's the world champion, and I don't see him closing the show. Del Rio is in the mix somehow, some way, and the CM Punk also. So what does the Royal Rumble winner get? And also, when you think about it, Daniel Bryan has the Money in the Bank contract, which he's going to cash in at WrestleMania. Unless they're going to turn him heel, and he goes against his word and wins the belt somehow, but I don't see that happening. What does the Royal Rumble winner really get? And then I went back for the last couple of years and thought about the Royal Rumble in itself, because there seems to be a theme with the Royal Rumble, and the theme to me is, since at least, I want to say 2006, the Royal Rumble has just meant less and less and less as each year goes by. If you go all the way back to 2005, that was the last time the Royal Rumble did as advertised. The winner headlined WrestleMania. Not only did they fight for the title, but they main evented, closed the show, and that was the whole purpose of it. The Royal Rumble was this thing that everyone believed in as fans, that was going to be life-changing, and that the winner headlines the biggest show of all time. But now, as time has gone by, it means less and less, to the point where now the Royal Rumble is really, you're just fighting for a match on WrestleMania. You look at the 2006 Royal Rumble, that's a perfect example of it. Rey Mysterio wins the Royal Rumble, and then he's not the main event. He's not the actual... They go, oh, well, I'm in the main event of WrestleMania. No, you're in the fourth match from the bottom. That's what you're in. You're not in the main event. The main event of that WrestleMania that year was Cena and Triple H. Neither guy won the Royal Rumble, but they decided to put that ahead of the actual Royal Rumble, and I felt that was the first thing. And when you think about that match, the Ray, Kurt and Orton match, it was like, what, 7 minutes of rushed high spots, flying around and all of this nonsense, and then that was it, it was done. Then the next year, Undertaker wins the Royal Rumble, and it was very dramatic, and people got really into it. But yet again, that wasn't the match that closed the show. Undertaker versus Batista was not the headlining event. It was Cena and Shawn Michaels. And yet again, when you think about it, Michaels didn't win the Royal Rumble. Shawn did not win the Royal Rumble. Yet he and Cena are going to be the match that closes the show, when really it should have been Undertaker and Batista. And then it kind of looked like it was going back on track in 2008 when Cena came back, surprise, surprise, and won the Royal Rumble, and actually did cash in his main event match at WrestleMania. But then, as the time got nearer, it was the third or fourth or fifth match on the show, and the headlining show was Undertaker versus Edge. And yeah, again, it just kind of got a little bit tainted again. Then you fast forward again to 2009. I'm really going on about this now, aren't I? And you look at when Orton won it. Now, a lot of people thought this is the rebirth of Randy Orton, and Orton was gonna, headline WrestleMania, and he did. Even though I think more fans wanted to see Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. And they had this Orton versus Hunter match, and he doesn't even win. Doesn't even win the WrestleMania main event in a boring match, by the way. And then you fast forward again to 2010 when Edge wins the Royal Rumble, comes back from injury, this heroic comeback from a career-threatening injury at the time, and he wins the Royal Rumble, and everyone's cheering and up in arms about it. And then WrestleMania kicks in, and he's not in the open. He's the third or fourth match from the bottom, and the main event was really Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. But the thing is, it wouldn't be a problem if they just said, well, you're fighting for the title if you win at WrestleMania. If you win at Royal Rumble, excuse me. They keep saying, you're going to be in the main event at WrestleMania if you win the Royal Rumble. When clearly you're not going to be in the main event of WrestleMania when you win the Royal Rumble. Ugh, tongue twister. And then you fast forward to 2011. 2011 was very interesting for me because I remember watching this Royal Rumble, and there were a lot of things that got my attention, and one of them was the fact that they went with Alberto Del Rio as the winner, and I felt maybe a little bit too early, but if they're going to have him close the show, then yeah, why not? And then you realise that he's not going to close the show as the weeks went by. Even when you look at the design of the Royal Rumble, I kind of felt like, I don't know. When you think about how he won, Santino hides under the ring. Comically, I mean, he throws out Randy Orton, I think. Was it Randy? Yeah, Randy Orton. That actually meant something, because that's an established, credible main event wrestler. And that kind of could have put some shine on Del Rio if he came out. And they emphasised that he threw out Randy Orton to win. And it's his first Royal Rumble, and that's who he throws out and wins. Instead, it looks like he's won, and then Santino pops up, and you have this comical moment with Santino, and then Del Rio throws him out. And I don't know, like, it was funny, but it kind of tainted it, because you just felt like, well, I don't know, I don't see him closing the show now after that. And then he comes out on Raw, and they could have probably built up a tease where he insinuates he's going to go after both champions a little bit, help promote him a bit, and then he challenges Edge, and then as the weeks go by, and then Cena and Miz is now set in stone, and The Rock is now involved, you realise, well, Del Rio's not closing the show. There's no way he's closing the show. And it's unfortunate that not enough was done with him and Edge to make the match as important as it should have been. And then you go to WrestleMania, and I'm thinking, wow, can't wait for WrestleMania, looking forward to it. And the opening match was Alberto Del Rio and Edge for the world title. The Royal Rumble winner is the opening match for WrestleMania. Are you kidding me? Are you absolutely kidding me right now? They could have had any other match open it, to be honest with you. But I just was like, well, what was the point of him winning the Royal Rumble? In a sense, why not just have Cena win it? I know people would have complained and gone, oh, Super Cena won again, blah, blah, blah. But when you think about how the Royal Rumble has been compromised, and the fact that now Del Rio was the opening match and couldn't even win, what was the point? And obviously we know the circumstances as to why Del Rio didn't win. And now it makes me fast forward to the Royal Rumble that's coming up now, and I wonder what's going to happen with that show. I've said for the longest time that stipulations mean very little in the company. Continuity is lacking in the company, and now it's starting to become a problem with things like WrestleMania and Royal Rumble and Money in the Bank. The Money in the Bank winner Daniel Bryan is on a losing streak and is barely on TV, and is the setup guy for other people's angles. The Royal Rumble winner doesn't necessarily main event WrestleMania. Instead, he's the opening match, and he can't even win. And what's going to happen with this year's Royal Rumble? People are going to, and I know how the company thinks, who could win it? The thing is, whoever wins it, we all know that they're not closing the show. That's the problem. They're not closing the show. And I think this is part of why they have struggled to make new stars and elevate new faces, because of things like this. John Morrison could win the Royal Rumble, which is unlikely because of his batshit crazy girlfriend. But say he won the Royal Rumble in January, he'll probably be the third match on the show. That's just how it is. Say they go with CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble. That's a great thing, and we'll all be happy to see him win. But we all know that he's not closing the show, because they've already announced what's closing the show. So, anyway, let me know what you think. Do you think that this is a problem now? Do you think that the Royal Rumble has been affected? You look at all the great Royal Rumbles, they've always lived up to their promises. But now, as time has gone by, and this new direction, it's not so important anymore. You might as well just have a number one contenders match. Anyways, my mouth is getting really, really dry, so please write some comments and let me know what you think. Do you think that the Royal Rumble needs reworking and refixing? Do you think they need to go back to the original, the roots of what the Royal Rumble was? I think it's a bold statement. I think if you want to create a new guy or really elevate a new star, you have to have him win the Royal Rumble, and he has to close the show and win. to me that makes a bold statement, but maybe it's a lack of faith within the company in the person who wins it. Oh, we'll just have what's his name win it, and you know. Anyways, write some comments, let me know what you think, spread the word. Just want to say a big thank you to Rory's Attitude before I get going. He very kindly let me do a response to an Attitude Era video that he put up. I just want to say thank you to him if he gets to watch this, or her, I don't know if it's a him or a her. And anyways, let me know what you think, and I'm going to be back in about 2 minutes. See you and take care.